Okay, welcome back to Ciara's Cookery. Today we're going to be making a meatless steamed cabbage. So if you're trying to get away from eating meat, this is a excellent cabbage to try. Here are our ingredients. So what you're going to start off doing, I already kind of like washed it off. I wash it when I get it, guys, and then I wash it again. But anywho, you're going to cut that stem part off and throw that away. You're going to take your little leaves and you're going to start to just remove that dark green leafy parts. I always take that off because they fall off anyway. So we're just going to take our time, go through here, and we're going to start to chop up our cabbage. All right, so I start off cutting the sides off, piece by piece. And it's really helpful if you have a sharper knife or a butcher knife when you're cutting this portion of the cabbage. It definitely helps out. Now, I try not to eat too much of that white part. I don't know why. I don't like a lot of that, but if you do, you can cut it down to the stub and add that in there. Typically, I only add a lot of that white part of the cabbage when I have a smaller cabbage like the one I have today. So you're just going to cut this up, dice it up, and you're going to put it in a bowl to the side. So we're just going to go ahead, fast forward through this part. This is me just chopping it up, dicing it up into some smaller pieces. You can kind of pretty much cut it the way you want to cut it. But this is the way I cut this portion. And then we're going to remove that stalk part from the dark green leafy ones. And then what we're going to do after we remove all the stalks, we're simply going to just roll it up and chop it up. There's no rhyme or reason in the way that I roll it or chop it, but I give it a loose roll. Then I chop that up, and then I go ahead and add that to the bowl as well. All right, so we're going to make sure we put all of that in there. We're going to move on to adding our chopped onion in here. And so you want to get a good sized onion. I am an onion lover, but for cabbage, typically like a medium or large onion, about half of that is enough, I think, for my cabbage. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to chop half a onion to add to the cabbage. And again, make sure we're using somewhat of a sharp knife to do this. It just makes the process much easier. And just take your time, chop that up. And then you can save that onion for maybe the morning. Maybe you want to make an omelet or something. Or you want to add that maybe to a gravy that you might be making for a meat side that you might be having with this cabbage. So you're going to go ahead and get your pot, and you're going to add your olive oil. You can add other things as well, such as, avocado oil, butter. I can't believe it's not butter, margarine, whatever your preference of an oil is, you can add that. But what I like to do, I like to add a little olive oil and then add about a tablespoon or two of butter in there. And once I do that, I will go ahead and put my chopped onion into my pot. And I'm going to let this cook down. I like a softer onion, so I'm going to really let that cook down until it gets like those brown edges on it. But you want to make sure that you are breaking up that onion. I don't know why I didn't break it up before I threw it in there, but whatever. You want to make sure you break up your onion before you put it in there, because if it's stuck together, it's not going to cook evenly. So make sure you're doing that before you put it in the pot. Now, once your onions cook down, it should start to look something like this. Again, I like to really cook mine down and make them very translucent. I like when they have a little bit of a brown edge on them. You don't have to do it that way, but I like to really cook down the onions. So once you cook your onions down, you want to go ahead and get your bowl. And I'm sorry for the camera shaking. You want to go ahead and get your bowl, and you want to add the cabbage in. Now, one way you can do this, you can just put the lighter parts in first, and then add in the darker green parts, because a lot of times the darker green parts cook up a bit faster than the lighter green ones. It's up to you, but I put it all in together. And this is like any other green leafy vegetable. If it's bigger, if you got more green leafy parts that won't fit in a pot, you can let some of it cook down, then you can come back and add some later, similar to your collard greens and your spinach. I think mine is gonna pretty much fit in here. But again, something I did not do in advance, you want to make sure you breaking up your cabbage the best way you know how. Before you put it in the pot is probably the easier way. But I think this was a day I was off. I just got off of work and I was tired. So hey, I'm doing things as I go. But make sure we are breaking up those light colored parts of the cabbage before we put it in the pot. Another quick tip to remember, make sure you're using a large pot that you have a lid to. That's going to be a lot of help, a whole lot of help. Make sure you are using a pot that you have a matching lid to. If you don't, you can always use a round plate. You know, all that steam is going to get on top of the plate. It's going to get all over your stove top. You can do that. That's the old school way. But if you know where the top is, find you a pot that has a top. Once you put everything into your pot, give it a good spin, give it a good turn. Try to get some of those onions off the bottom to the top. Mix it in really good. And then at this point, we're just going to be checking on it, stirring it, making sure we don't have anything stick to the bottom, which nothing should stick to the bottom because you did put in that olive oil and butter at the bottom. All right, and you're just going to check on it and continue to stir it. And this is where we want to start adding our seasonings, our red pepper flakes. I put quite a bit of red pepper flakes in there. You don't have to put this much in there because I know a lot of times this makes people's nose run, or it might be too spicy for you and your kids. So you don't have to put that much in. Maybe you want to put in a teaspoon or so. And then now I'm adding in some black pepper, and I'm going to add in a little bit of Lawry's. Adding a little bit of Lawry's. Since I don't have any pork or smoked turkey necks, pigtails, or anything in here, that Lawry's really gives it that down home flavor and taste. So you're going to continue to mix this in here. If you feel like your cabbage is done here, you can go ahead and let this cook for maybe a minute or two more, and you can serve it. But I like to let my cabbage cook down more than this. But again, you cook it, you know, the way you liked it cooked. Again, I like mine a little bit softer than this. So this is sort of kinda what I like my cabbage to look like. I really like it to really cook down and be more on the softer side. I don't really like it being tough. And this is pretty much it. It is ready to serve. If you feel, go ahead and taste it. If you feel like you need to add a little bit more seasonings, red pepper flakes, seasoned salt, garlic pepper, whatever it is that you like to add to your cabbage, go ahead and add that. But this is pretty much what it should look like when you serve it. Thank you for coming out and watching our channel today. Make sure you go back and subscribe to Ciara's Cookery, and we will see you next time.